Alright. Welcome to another day in paradise. This time I'm doing it with some gameplay. I'm trying to test some OBS settings. It's been making the file sizes incredibly big for some reason. I had a 2-hour long stream the other day and it insisted it was 76 gigabytes. So in addition to this being your news segment, it's also me seeing if the files are workable. I've been doing a lot of Far Cry Primal lately on stream for a lot of the psychedelic stuff, but that's a different topic for a different day. I've got a bit of a cold, so my voice is a bit messed up. This episode of Another Day in Paradise is going to be kind of a sort of catch-up. I haven't posted in a couple days. I'll be completely honest. The stream of constant bad news is definitely wrecking the vibe. For those of you not aware, the last few days have basically been the full end of American democracy. This is no longer the United States of America. This is the Trump regime. He has outright said that he's not going to listen to court orders. The other day, he declared the Alien Enemies Act, which, if you're not familiar, is an act that is basically unconstitutional, but it's just been allowed to exist for centuries at this point. It's only ever been used during very explicit times of warfare, and he's trying to claim that this is like, war with illegal immigrants. But what this really means is he's just going to use this as a precursor to arrest and deport literally anyone who disagrees with him. He's made several comments over the past few days about how his enemies are acting illegally with their speech. He's talked about how several news agencies who have spoken out against him are quote-unquote illegal. He's saying that anybody who speaks bad about his appointed judges are illegal. This is full dictatorship. We are fully plunged into fascism at this point. Him and JD Vance said that they don't intend on listening to the court order saying that he needs to halt the deportations of, in quotations, Venezuelan people. Basically, it's just anyone brown. Yeah, shit is very, very bad. We are in a full constitutional crisis. At this point, I'm not joking when I say that my only hope for the saving of this country is a military coup. I think that that is genuinely the only way that we can stop this. The protests are improving in size and quantity, but he's now basically threatening to jail anyone who protests against Israel, the people engaging in a genocide. Since then, the United States has continued to send money to Israel. Just, I want to say yesterday, another really major attack happened on Gaza where they killed hundreds of more people, civilians. The United States then participated in bombing in Yemen and killed a bunch of civilians. We are unambiguously the enemy of the world right now. Absolutely pitiful display. I could not be more disappointed to be an American at this point. I hate to say it, but it's one of those, unless some pretty big shit changes soon, we are lined up for a perfect Weimar Germany duplicate. I give it a year before the Congress building burns down. We're going to get a Reichstag 2.0. Expect more purges of lawyers, judges. Trump is claiming that the pardons that Biden gave the Jan 6 committee are invalid. He has no authority to do this. It doesn't work that way. But we are past the point where the rule of law matters. The social contract has completely broken down. The rule of law has completely broken down. We are now in a game of just power and nothing other than power. And unfortunately, they hold a lot of power because Americans are too arrogant and ignorant to understand that it can happen to us here, and it is happening to us here. Americans still are acting as though, the biggest issue is, the economy isn't doing well. Guys, it is far, far worse than this. How many more people need to be sent to fucking concentration camps in El Salvador before this is, a thing that's going to wake you the fuck up? Yeah, for reference, many of these people who are being deported are not being deported back to their country. They're being sent to one of the worst prisons on earth in El Salvador, which is itself a dictatorship, ostensibly. They have a sort of deal with Trump to just send a bunch of people there. The prisons in El Salvador that they're being sent to are regarded as genuinely some of the worst on earth. We're talking like Russian gulag tier. There was, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was a permanent U.S. resident who was a Palestinian activist, and he was basically black-bagged and then deported. Another person with a green card was, like, randomly seized at an airport and allegedly tortured. We are in the darkest days of America. And I think one of my biggest frustrations I've been having lately around this is the generational divide, specifically with Gen X. My parents are Gen X, and they just seem to have this... They don't get the stakes of this. They've lived in a complacent, simple existence for so long that they don't appreciate that shit is the worst it's been in their lifetime and will only get worse. Their generation of not fighting back against so many of these, like... I mean, they were around for the fucking Iraq War, the War on Terror. That was itself a complete catastrophe nonsense. And not enough people stood their ground and fought against that. That it allows shit like this today to continue to happen. We need to really start working together. Collaborating with local governance. We need to really start to get to know our neighbors, get to know... We need to prepare for the worst. And when I say that, I'm talking like a atypical, asymmetrical civil war is basically inevitable at this point. And this will be far more bloody and far more disastrous than something like the first American Civil War, to where at least there were clearly defined borders, clearly defined, like, spheres of influence. But right now, everything's so scattered and so in disarray that, like... This is truly going to be a... It's going to be a sort of insurgency-style civil war, and I think the biggest thing to look out for in the future is what's going to happen with the military. Trump is already trying to purge a lot of people up top, but many of the higher-ups in the military are very much not pro-Trump. Because they understand that Trump is not good for international power, right? Like, these old guard, they're still very much like a neoliberal, imperialist, you know, America as the world's police kind of idea. And so they don't really like that Trump has been operating the United States' foreign policy in complete opposition to all of their efforts that they've made for decades. Those efforts of the military have been fucked and terrible, but it still comes off as like an insult to them. So yeah, it is one of those to where I'm genuinely praying for a military coup. I feel like that would be of a better chance for us to move forward in the future. I don't even know where to go from here. Like, try to stay safe. Be prepared for the worst. If you are a member of a marginalized community, you need to seriously consider leaving. If you are trans, if you are LGBT, start saving up money. I hate to be, like, I'm not trying to be alarmist. I'm not trying to be this or that, but I've been saying for years now that a trans genocide is coming. Expect it. They're already working on trying to re-ban gay marriage. They're already working on trying to make it illegal to be trans. It's coming. You need to start planning on escaping. I'm hoping that as things continue to get worse, I'm not hoping they get worse, but they're gonna, that some of the other countries that historically were our allies, like Canada, will begin to allow for asylum for Americans. Historically, that's not been permitted because the United States was considered like... There are kind of like international boundaries or definitions for human rights. And just recently, the United States has dropped from one category into at risk. And so because it's now in the at-risk group, there is a decent chance that you can now begin looking towards literally seeking asylum to flee the United States. Shit is not going well. I think my plan for these videos moving forward is, because of the nature of YouTube growth, it's very difficult to build a channel doing longer form content like this unless you manage to hit like a virality peak. And so my plan is, rather than do larger segments, I'm going to begin doing a bunch of small segments and cross-post to TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or just regularly. These are likely going to be mostly, you know, phone vlog style things. They're going to be pretty quick. Other plans for the channel moving forward. I still got to do the final section of that Sam Cedar debate. That shit really broke my spirit. For some reason, the episode 3 got like dramatically more views than everything else. It's currently my highest viewed video. It's only like 900. It's not a... Excuse you, dog. This wolf is really giving me a rough go of it. He keeps trying to attack me. Wolf, please. Yeah, so expect a lot of new videos in the future, but for now, they're likely going to be a lot more short form. I don't like short form video. I feel like it's rotted our brain, but that's where the situation is right now. And we're going to really need a lot of people actually continuing to commentate and to stand out against our increasingly rapid decline into a fascist dictatorship. I think one thing that we can do as politically active people is start adjusting our language. We need to begin to start to attack Trump with American nationalism. As fucking dumb as it sounds. Like, again, I've been very critical of the United States pretty much my entire life. However, I feel like if we try to pitch this and sell it as like, well, America could be amazing, it could be great, it's just failed to live up to a lot of promises, and start to pitch ideas of what made America great, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and use this as a cudgel to attack Republicans, attack right-wingers and MAGA conservatives. They've never cared about freedom of speech, they've never cared about rights, they've never cared about the Constitution, and we need to start hitting them on this one. Another thing that we need to start doing is, again, as far as I'm concerned, the United States is dead. We are now living under the Trump regime. Start to refer to this country as the Trump regime. The United States loves to do that with countries it doesn't agree with politically, where it'll call things this regime, or... You know, it's often used as like a slur to an extent, where it's meant to like represent a lack of it being a cohesive nation. You know, it's not truly sovereign over its people. And that is what we're currently operating with today. We have a deeply unpopular person who arguably stole the election, did some fuckery with mass purging voters. This is the Trump regime. This is not the United States of America. So begin to adjust your language. Everything in politics is optics. We still have a chance of winning the optics battle, but we can't do it by being weak. A lot of the people we need to sway and convince are not swayed by like, oh, well, you're being a racist, you're being a meanie, that's a bigotry. That can all be true, but you need to hit them where it hurts. You guys are pathetic. You're childish. You are weak. You've allowed a con man to completely change the way you view your country and the world. You've thrown away all of these things that you claim to represent. You are pathetic and weak. You're submissive and docile and need a strong man to tell you what to do. Hit them where it hurts. Start using different rhetoric. So yeah, I think that's going to be this one for today. I'm hoping the recording size isn't insanely big and the changes I made are good. I'm probably going to record a couple other segments shortly. I might do a continued drama segment next immediately on some of the weird updates we've seen. This has been another day in paradise.